Ever feel like your generation got skipped over?
You grew up in the shadow of the baby boomers, watched the millennials take over the spotlight.
And somewhere along the way, people started calling you the forgotten generation.
If you were born between 1965 and 1980, that label probably hits home. And it's not just a joke.
It's actually rooted in a very real psychological and cultural experience that shaped how Gen X thinks, feels, behaves, and even survives today.
Gen X is the generation that came of age during massive cultural, economic, and technological shifts.
Latchkey childhoods with empty houses after school, MTV blasting 24/7, the rise of personal computers,
Severe economic recessions, skyrocketing divorce rates, corporate downsizing, and the very first whispers of the internet.
You were the first generation to grow up with both analog freedom, riding bikes until dark, no cell phones, real-world play,
And digital beginnings, dial-up internet, early video games, CD players.
That unique position shaped a psychology that's independent, skeptical, resilient, quietly influential, and often emotionally guarded.
If you're Gen X, or know someone who is, and you've ever wondered why your generation thinks, feels, and behaves the way it does,
Smash that like button right now, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're going deep into what it really means to be Gen X. Let's get into it. Reason number 1, the latchkey kid effect. Independence born from necessity and its lasting scars. Gen X was the first generation where both parents often worked full-time jobs, sometimes 2 jobs each, to keep up with rising costs. Millions came home after school to an empty house. No parent waiting with snacks, no supervision, no one to ask, "How was your day?" This created the latchkey kid phenomenon. Children who had to figure things out alone, make their own rules, and solve problems without adult help. Psychologically, it wired Gen X for extreme self-reliance. You learned early, if I don't do it, no one will. You became resourceful, adaptable, and deeply comfortable with solitude. But it also left deep scars. Trust issues, difficulty asking for help, a quiet fear of abandonment, and a tendency to handle stress completely alone. Many Gen Xers still feel uncomfortable asking friends or partners for support, even in serious situations, because childhood taught them one simple rule: handle it yourself. Some say they prefer solving problems alone because relying on others feels risky, unfamiliar, even dangerous. Reason number 2, skepticism and distrust of authority. Shaped by scandals, lies, and broken promises. Gen X grew up watching institutions fall apart in real time. Watergate, Iran-Contra, Wall Street greed, and crashes in the 80s. Corporate downsizing eliminated job-for-life security. Politicians were caught in lies again and again. Unlike boomers who largely trusted government and big corporations, Gen X learned a very simple lesson: don't believe everything you're told. This created a deep, baked-in skepticism. Not loud anger, but quiet doubt. Gen X questions authority, marketing hype, political promises, and even self-help gurus more than any other generation. They're the ones most likely to say, "Yeah, right. I've heard that before." When a new life-changing app, crypto scheme, or self-improvement guru promises the world, Gen X is usually the first to roll their eyes and say, "I've seen this movie before. It ends badly." Reason number 3, the just get on with it attitude. Emotional stoicism, and silent suffering. Gen X was raised during a time when mental health wasn't openly discussed. Therapy was for crazy people. Feelings were private. The motto was, suck it up and move on. Emotions were something you dealt with alone, not something you talked about. This created emotional guardedness. Gen Xers don't cry in public, don't overshare, rarely seek help for depression or burnout. They internalized one belief: problems are solved by action, not talking. A Gen Xer loses their job, goes through a breakup, or faces serious health news, and says, "I'll figure it out," instead of venting or seeking therapy. It's seen as strength, but it can lead to silent suffering, bottled up resentment, and years of unaddressed pain. Reason number 4. Nostalgia and pop culture obsession, escaping the present through the past. Gen X grew up with the golden age of pop culture. MTV launching music videos, arcade games everywhere, Walkmans, VHS tapes, blockbuster movies, grunge, early hip-hop, the birth of personal computing.
Many Gen Xers are obsessed with 80s and 90s nostalgia because that era felt simpler, more authentic, and less overwhelming.
Nostalgia isn't just sentiment, it's psychological escape from aging,
financial stress, cultural shifts, and the feeling that the world moved on without them.
A 50-year-old Gen Xer still collects vinyl records, rewatches 80s movies, or listens to 90s grunge playlists.
Not just for fun, but because it reconnects them to a time when life felt more controllable and less complicated.
Reason number 5. Work ethic. Work hard, don't complain. And the burnout reality.
Gen X was told, get a job, keep it, don't make waves. Loyalty to companies was expected. Hard work was supposed to guarantee security.
But companies showed little loyalty back. Mass layoffs, downsizing, pension cuts, and the end of job for life.
This created a dual mindset. Strong work ethic combined with deep cynicism about corporate promises.
Many Gen Xers stayed in jobs they hated because that's just how it is,
Leading to quiet resentment, burnout, and a work-to-live, not live-to-work philosophy that arrived slowly and painfully.
A Gen Xer works 20 years at the same company, gets laid off at 50, and says, I should have known better.
The loyalty myth died hard for them.
Reason number 6, relationships and emotional guardedness. Walls built early.
Gen X saw divorce rates skyrocket in the 70s and 80s. Many grew up with split parents and learned that relationships can break easily and painfully.
This created emotional guardedness. Don't get too attached. Protect yourself first. Don't show weakness.
Gen X relationships often look stable on the surface, but have deeper walls than Millennials or Gen Z. Vulnerability is scary because childhood showed them that love can disappear overnight without warning.
A Gen Xer in a long marriage still struggles to say, I love you openly, or share deep feelings.
Because childhood taught them that emotions can be weaponized or simply lost.
Reason number 7, technology. From analog kids to digital immigrants.
Gen X was the last generation to grow up fully analog. No smartphones, no social media, no 24/7 connectivity. Then suddenly, in adulthood, they had to adapt to the internet, cell phones, and an entirely digital world. This created a unique psychology, comfort with technology, but suspicion of it.
Gen X uses tech but doesn't worship it like younger generations. They remember life before it and sometimes genuinely prefer it.
A Gen Xer uses Facebook to stay connected, but rolls their eyes at TikTok and says, I remember life before this stuff, and it was fine.
Gen X isn't loud or flashy. They're quietly resilient, skeptical, independent, nostalgic, and emotionally guarded.
They were the first generation to grow up fast, question authority, figure things out alone, and keep things together while everyone else was making noise.
They didn't ask for the spotlight. They just kept the lights on.
If you're Gen X, you're not forgotten. You're the generation that quietly held everything together.
Pause for a second right now. Think about your own Gen X experience.
What shaped you the most? Latchkey childhood, economic uncertainty, divorce, skepticism, or something else?
Drop your real story in the comments below. I personally read every single one and reply when I can.
If this helped you understand Gen X or yourself better, smash that like button right now.
Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. We're going deeper every week. Thanks for watching all the way through. Remember, Gen X didn't ask for the spotlight. They just kept the lights on. See you in the next video.